So it takes a long time for Buddhists to have this anthropomorphic statues as religious iconography. Anyhow, so the stupa is another monument that was spread throughout Buddhist countries. So this is the main point. So in Indian context, stupas look like this, large hemispherical dome. But if you come to East Asia, like China and Korea, we are going to study, and then Japan, you are going to have more like a tower structure, usually 3-story or 5-story. Sometimes you will see 7 or 9. It's like it's going as an odd number. You're going to see this type of towers. So in East Asian context, the stupa is called pagodas. So in Buddhist art, Buddhist statues and pagodas are main monuments, and then you are going to see some Buddhist paintings as well. So this is development of pagodas in East Asian context. So we are going to see massive granite stone pagodas in Korean art. In other Asian countries, different materials were used. Brick and then stone and wood were used in all 3 countries, but in Japan, predominantly you see more wooden structures than stone pagodas. And this is the one made of brick in Xi'an currently. It used to be the capital of Tang Dynasty. So Buddhism came to Goguryeo, we are going to see, through Northern Way Buddhism. And then Baekje is located on the sea coast, so that it comes from Goguryeo as well as Liang. And then Shilla is on this side, right? They cannot directly go to China, so that Buddhism comes from Goguryeo and then to Shilla. And then Buddhism in Baekje was spread to Japan over here. So, Buddhism became quite well established around 5th century CE in all 3 countries. So you can see Northern Way gave Buddhism in Goguryeo. And then Baekje received Buddhism through Liang, south, through the sea. Shilla got Buddhism through Goguryeo monk. And then Kaya didn't exist at that later on, so it's like this. And then Baekje gave their Buddhism to Japan. So I am going to talk about martyrdom of Ichadon in a moment. So I want you to remember this, that 4th century, Goguryeo and Baekje had received Buddhism, but in Shilla, official recognition of Buddhism came quite late in 527 or 6th century. So in Goguryeo, you are going to see this type of seated statue with the hands together and legs together. What is this posture mean? Meditation, right? Meditation. Unfortunately, we don't have large-scale Buddhist statues from 3 Kingdoms era. Stone remains well, but small or large gilt bronze statues, they were melted for other purposes, or later they were destroyed during the war. So we don't have large sizes. So this one is called the seated Buddha, 5th century, and then you have to put it on this type of like a shelf or stair or base, so that skirt is falling off. So originally this statue probably had a base, and then you put this on top of a base, like the rectangular podium, very small podium style base, so that if you put the statue over here, right, the skirt will fall off the base like this. Not skirt, it's like a draperies. And then this one is really important. We know that the date is 539 instead of 5th century. Why? How do we know? The statue is a standing Buddha. As you can see, standing Buddha, not seated. But on the back of the halo, we have all these Chinese characters inscribed. It says actually 고구려. This is like a 고구려, like a 고구려. We actually see the name. And this one tells us that it was made in this Yeonga 7th year. So that is equivalent to 539. And then we also know that they are part of 1,000 votive statues. I want you to think about how big 9 centimeter is. How large is 9 centimeter in inches? Is it more than 10 inches or less than 10 inches?
Way less than 10 inches, Professor.
Yeah. And then if you
It's very tiny.
yeah, it's very tiny. And if you have, including base, it's about 16 inches. So look at your palm, look at your hand. So it's either about your hand, more or less small, right? So what does that mean? Originally, they made thousands of these small statues, and then you are going to line them up in a Buddhist temple. The purpose is, or you can carry one in your own luggage or your travel sack. And this one was buried somewhere, and then it was excavated in Kyungju area. So it is a goguryeo statue, but it was excavated in Kyungju, the territory of Silla, as late as 1963. We didn't find the rest of 999 statues. But you can imagine it was originally planned as one of those because it says over here. So it's made of gilt bronze. So it's made cast in bronze, but then it has gold pigment on the top. And then somebody made it 1,000 of them. So according to this historical record, I want you to pay attention to the name of this book called Samguk Yusa. Here, Samguk Yusa. This is History of Three Kingdoms. And today's lecture that I told you when Buddhism was introduced to Goguryeo, Baekjen and then king's name and all the detail is mainly coming from Samguk Yusa. And there is another book called Samguk Sagi. That Samguk Sagi is more like Sagi is like written like this. Sagi is more official history of three kingdoms. So together with the Samguk Sagi and then Samguk Yusa, we were able to reconstruct history of three kingdoms. Anyhow, Samguk Yusa was written by a Buddhist monk during the Goryeo dynasty. Both the Samguk Yusa and Samguk Sagi, like an official history of three kingdoms, and then like stories of the three kingdoms, they are both written during the Goryeo dynasty in the 13th century Goryeo dynasty. Anyhow, if you look at here, the Silla Buddhism was introduced perhaps late 4th and early 5th century. It was there, but the record that you see from here to all the way here explains to us that the government or the Jingol, right, the sacred Songgol, the sacred bone class of Silla, accepting Buddhism as one of the official religion took a long time. So here it says Buddhism had been introduced during King Nulzi's reign. That was quite early. But later, during King Popung, this is called the Popung's reign, we had this big incident called Ichadon's martyrdom. Ichadon's martyrdom. And my question for you is, what does this story tell us? Can you discuss the establishment of shamanism in Shilla's elite society and its competition with the foreign idea of Buddhism? So that was my question.